Well, a campaign led by Microsoft is encouraging Australian students to take up computer coding. It's thought that with technology moving so rapidly, the computer skill will be needed in a number of professions in years to come. Peter Argent is director of the Coder Factory, which teaches children and adults how to code. Thanks for coming in to speak to us this evening.
You're welcome.
Now, I'm going to age myself and say I can remember a time before the World Wide Web. I don't think I'm alone if I was to admit to you that I'm not entirely certain what is meant by the term coding. Can you start with a definition?
Yeah, well, in simple terms, coding is really just computer programming. But it's a sort of a broad term that can now mean building an iPhone app, a website, or maybe even game coding.
So around the world, children are being taught this particular skill from as early as even before school, actually,
That's right.
the preschool age.
Yeah.
How are they learning how to program? What skills are being taught to them?
Sure, well, it's all about using coloured blocks at the moment, dragging and learning about ifs and elses and the logic that's behind computer programming. So they're able to build simple games and animations, and it's really they're sort of learning about coding without even realising they're learning, which is amazing.
And so increasingly, do you believe that coding is something that everyone will need to know?
Definitely. You don't necessarily need to become a developer or a computer scientist, but no matter what career you're in or whatever industry you're in, knowing about technology and coding is definitely going to help you be in front. And I like to say that over the next few years, if you don't understand about coding and technology, you'll end up doing the jobs that robots don't want to do.
Oh dear, that sounds rather dire. So you really do think that even if we're not involved ourselves in programming, we're going to need it to interact with people who do program, or just everyday appliances. I mean, I suppose computer technology is really increasingly in our lives.
Exactly, and we use it every day, and just understanding how it works, even if you don't necessarily build a lot of applications or code, that understanding how it works allows you to think about how technology can help in other areas of life. Like imagine if more doctors knew how to code, maybe perhaps we have applications that save more lives.
Tell us about the standard of education in relation to coding in Australia. I mean, how are students learning enough? When does learning kick in here?
Yeah, it's not early enough, and I'm involved in Code Club Australia, which is a non-profit organisation that's helping teachers and parents start code clubs in their schools, and it's just a 1 hour a week where these kids get to create and learn about coding, and it's something that we'd love to see. That's sort of our mission, is to get this into primary schools and get kids, learning and creating.
And the people that come to you and say they want to learn how to code, because you do hold some workshops for people who put their hands up and say, this is a skill I'd like to learn. Tell me about the take-up rate between the genders, men and women. Do you find that more men are interested?
It's actually very encouraging to see a growth in numbers of women coming in to learn coding. They realise that it's not just for boys, and it's something that can help them in their business or in their industry, in their career. And it's whether they're an accountant or a doctor, that it's going to help them. So.
Peter Argent, terrific to talk to you tonight.
Thanks for having me.